Happy Halloween week, everyone. I wanted to plug a couple of shows, let you know where I'm going to be coming up. If you're at any of these places, let's hang out. November 1st through 3rd, that's this weekend if you're listening to this the day it comes out. Magicopolis in Santa Monica. I'm doing a show Friday night, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Then I go to Orlando for a week, and I'm going to be doing a corporate event, emceeing that on November 11th and 12th. I'll be with my buddy Bob Goff for his Dream Big framework in San Diego, California. That's going to be incredible. November 13th through the 16th, I'm back at the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, one of my favorite places to work, and the best comedy club in the country. That's going to be the 13th through the 16th. And then this is the big one, Dynasty Typewriter, filming of my first live special. It's going to be on Tuesday, January 7th at 7 p.m. and also a show at 9 p.m. Huge thank you to everyone who's already been snatching up tickets. We got some tickets left. You can go get tickets to either show right now, but the closer we get, those things are going to sell out. I'm so excited, and again, so grateful for the huge support. This week on the show, I sat down with Simone Turkington, brilliant performer, fantastic magician. She's got a very unique vibe, does a whole throwback to the 60s, and does it so well that you feel like you've jumped in a time machine and you're experiencing this like you would have, except for the magic is way better than it was back in the 60s. This week, we're both at Magicopolis, so come check that out, and you can go follow along on her social media, see all the other places that she's performing. But sit back, relax, and enjoy this incredible conversation with Simone Turkington.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Something is about to break.
Hey everybody, welcome to About to Break. I'm your host Taylor Hughes, and I'm sitting down right now outside, we're Sunset Boulevard right now, doing a very Hollywood thing. We've got microphones set up. I'm sure there's some people from Idaho driving by thinking this is cooler than it is. But I'm sitting here with Simone Turkington.
Hello, everybody.
Simone, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
This is pretty fun. We're doing the castle this week. You're in the early parlor. I'm in the late parlor.
Yes.
We do the frenzied changing of the guards same time every night where we're frantically trying to clear out the room and
I
get
feel
it
like
reset.
it's only frantic the first night, and then we...
Yeah, now there's kind of a rhythm to it. Yeah.
You know, I'll get my shit out of the way, and you've got... It's all
Yeah,
good.
we know the drill now.
Yeah,
we got it.
It's good.
Yeah, and then we just found out we're doing the Peller in like 2 months.
I know. That's bonkers.
I've
never done the Peller before, so I'm...
It's your first time doing the Peller? Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really good. Well, I'm so excited that we sat down and talk. I have seen your show twice this week, and I remember seeing you perform when you were a duo.
Yes.
You were a duo act.
Yes.
Mystique.
Yes.
And this is like the first time I've gotten to see you do your thing, just you.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about how you ended up being a magician.
Okay, how many hours do we have? No,
we have plenty of time. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay, beginning, I was about 8. No, it's like typical. I got my first magic kit when I was about 8.
Yep. This is in Australia?
In Australia, yeah. It was off an infomercial on TV.
Was it really?
Yeah. So I got it
One
for
of
Christmas.
those, magic's really fun when you know how it's done.
It was like hundreds of tricks, but there were 19 in the box. I was like, wait, what?
One of those, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, exactly. But they were all those like cheap, Chinese crappy tricks. But anyway, so I did that. I'd do stuff at school and for my Girl Scout group and stuff like that. But, just for my
Do they have
family.
a badge for... Girl Scouts gets badges, right?
Yeah.
I never did like the Boy Scout thing. I don't know
there
too
are badges,
much about
but there was no magic badge. Maybe there is now, but there wasn't
That would be pretty rad.
There would. I feel like somebody told me there is now, but maybe I'm imagining it. So I did that, I was like, that's right, 8 I got a trick deck of cards, then about 11 I got that magic kit from the infomercial, but I dabbled with it, I didn't do that much with it, and then, but I always liked magic. And then it was 2012, and at the Center for Inquiry, this theater and group in Hollywood, I saw an ad. I was on their mailing list and it said, magic course. And I'm like, I felt really stupid. It's like, I'm like 34 years old.
And you're like, I really want to do this
magic course. And I said to my husband, I was like, I almost didn't say it. It felt so stupid. And then I was like, do you think I should do this magic? He's like, yeah, do it. He was like totally into it. So I did that. And it was like 5 weeks. It was a mentalism course, actually, once I was taking it. And and with Mark Edward, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a magician. There aren't enough female magicians. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't know any, so but I'm just like too insecure and not much of a go-getter. So before I was even
insecure, you're totally prepared.
Oh
to
yeah,
be a
yeah,
magician,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But not enough. I'm too awkward and too much. Not enough of a go-getter. So I was just before I was even done. I'm like, who are you kidding? You're not going to be a magician. What are you going to do? Just show up and do magic? Like I just and so it just was out of my mind. And then 2 months later, I was pregnant, and just that was my focus for the next couple of years. And then a friend of mine introduced me to his girlfriend, and she became our babysitter. And her name was Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And she babysat once for my birthday, but we were kind of friendly, so she hung out afterwards. And in the course of the conversation, she said she liked magic, and so we're both like into like 60s vintage stuff and tiki. And after she said that, I was like, we should do like a 60s tiki themed magic act together. And she was like, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so so I suggested that, and there's a moment where I was like, should I just do this myself? I'm like, no, because nothing will happen if you say you're going to do it by yourself. So
right, you kind of need someone else who's going to be like, hey, we're rehearsing right now.
Exactly, we're accountable.
Yeah.
So I know I would have done absolutely nothing by myself. So that got it started. So that was like January of 2015, and then we started like getting together and learning some tricks. We started taking classes at the castle in May.
Very cool.
And by November I'd become a member. And I remember during my audition, they ask you like, why do you want to be a magician, and why do you want to be a member? And I said, well, I'm really getting into it, and I hope that once I'm here and I can use the library and stuff, that maybe one day I could become a great magician.
Right.
And somebody laughed.
In the audition?
Yeah.
That's not cool.
No, right? And so I was like, oh, I felt so stupid. And then somebody else kind of hushed them, like, don't say that.
Be cool. Be cool. Why? What was the laugh about?
Just like, here I am showing up doing like some, beginner magic and hoping one day to be a great magician. Why couldn't I hope that? I can hope that.
Yeah,
I didn't say,
absolutely.
I just want to do this so that event, because I'm going to be a great magician. I wasn't that presumptuous. I was just hoping.
I hope it's because they thought, maybe they didn't think they could be a great magician. Maybe they just think, there's only we only have room for 3 great magicians.
Maybe, yeah, and you're not one of them.
So this would have been, when did you join the castle? Like 2015?
2015, so November 2015. So I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So really, like, I've only been doing magic for, just 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And nearly 5. So... so that's how it got started. But so Elizabeth and I, got acting together. We had all the concept and everything with no actual magic skills. So that's okay. But we knew what we wanted to do. So it took a while. It took about a year before we actually started putting together anything that resembled what we envisioned. Yeah. But that's how it got started. And if I didn't have somebody to work with, I would have done nothing. I'd still be not doing magic today. So I'm totally indebted to her and that union for anything I do in magic forever. So, yeah. And
you're a performer before this. You had done theater, or what was your background in performance prior to doing magic?
I always was, wanted to be an actor since I was a kid. So when I first moved to LA in 2003, I was, pursuing acting. But again, I'm not a go-getter. I'm sort of like waiting for everyone to call me, which is not going to happen in this town. And also I'm ethnically confusing because I'm Australian with Sri Lankan parents, and I look Hispanic maybe, but I don't speak Spanish or even would attempt to speak in an accent, so I kind of like don't. I would get like extra jobs.
I would think that would be like a benefit, that you could play a lot of different roles or characters. Like
you can, but I like culturally, I have no connection to any of those things. Just to speak like that or to do that, I didn't really have that connection. It's definitely not. I could do accents, but I wasn't doing like Hispanic. So I was kind of not. They're always looking for just brown-haired, blonde-haired, So
Who knows what they're looking for.
But I mean, aside from that, I'm not going to blame Hollywood. I'm going to blame myself because I didn't really pursue it too hard because I'm just not. I'm not a self-promoter. So that was always there, and I've always been, doing little bits and stuff along the way. But but I just had a regular job for like 10 years, and I had a podcast. So I had a blog. So I've always like done my creative things, but nothing to any serious degree, because it's just always kind of doing things the way I want. Like I can get a job writing because I can only kind of write about what I'm interested in writing, which is what I did with my blog. So. Yeah, and same with the podcast. We're just doing what we wanted to do, which, coming to the magic, I'm doing the magic the way I want to do it.
Right.
It's like 100% what I'm into.
Well, that's the
So,
benefit of doing any of this, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
not because it's easy to make money or, it's all smooth sailing. It's because you get to do the thing you want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And kind of the way you want to do it.
Yeah. Well, I remember a friend of mine from Australia came out. He was doing, he wanted to be a screenwriter, and he was writing rom-coms, but he doesn't like rom-coms. He thought that's what sells. And, and I never want to do something where I'm...
It's like adjacent to
this-
your dream.
Yeah. It's like I'm working hard on something that I don't even actually want to watch myself.
Right.
And, and I was like, I don't ever want to be doing that. So, yeah, that's... continued.
It's funny because you've said twice that I'm not a go-getter. I don't hustle. But we met at John Armstrong's house. That was the first time I think that we met, and he was doing like a get together, like getting some different magicians together. Let's kind of workshop, brainstorm some ideas. And from the first time I met you, I'm like, man, she's hustling. Like,
really?
Yeah, because you come in with like ideas, and you're like, hey, I want to do this, and you've thought through it. And I think a lot of times magicians aren't trying to think about how to bring originality or some of themselves or their own personality to their routine. Usually people go, what is being sold on penguinmagic.com,
right?
And then they'll do that bit exactly the way the person that sold it,
right?
So was there a moment where you were like, okay, this is more than just a hobby, this is something that I really want to... What was that moment like? Was it when you got in the castle, or?
Yeah, I think once in the castle, and just Elizabeth and I were just right out the gate started trying to get gigs together. I don't know if you know Patricia Magisha at the castle. Yeah, she saw the potential in us, and she put us on this Ladies in Magic bill, and we didn't even have an act yet, and we're like, oh my god, we have to get a show together now because we've got this date. But it was good. So that really got us going. So I think once we started doing shows, we just kind of... For me, it's always been... I just want to keep doing this, and I like that I can make some money doing it. I have no sort of illusions about, any illusions of grandeur or anything. I'm just sort of like, I'm just doing what I like doing. And so that's why when I say I'm not a go-getter, I haven't been hustling and networking. I'm not like, I need to meet that person and talk to them. Like, Elizabeth was always better at talking to people, and I'm like hiding behind this person who's 13 years younger than me.
You're like, I'll be over here making sure everything's set up for the show.
Yes, exactly. That is totally
making
my
sure
job.
Everything works.
I was definitely the packer, because, she'd feel bad because she'd be talking to other people while I'm packing. She's like, I feel bad, can I help? I'm like, no, I've got a system. Go back to networking.
See, but I think that's good. I mean, you obviously, none of us want to be hermits and kind of like avoid social interaction with other people. But then there's the opposite end where we've met people who only want to talk to you because they think you can do something for them. You know? So it's like, it's good to be somewhere in the middle.
I've always had a struggle with I've got a very specific sort of thought about that. So ever since, even like in the acting thing, like I know plenty of people in the industry,
right.
Writers and all kinds of people, because my husband's in the industry too. So I know all these people, but I always felt like if I like you and you have some sort of power, I don't want to compromise our friendship by asking for any favors. If I don't like you, I'm not going to kiss your ass and talk to you.
Right.
So this equals zero networking.
that's hilarious.
But I'm not comfortable, compromising myself or compromising the friendship, and I don't want to pretend I like some schmuck.
See, man, and it's so good that I love that you got into magic at a point in your life where you already were comfortable with who you were, and you're not...
That's not true. I don't know where you got that idea.
Well, I mean, like, even just like you said, like, if somebody's not a good person, or, you know what I mean? Like,
I knew definitely my philosophies, my comfort with myself is another entire...
okay, yeah.
No, but this has helped
theory.
me, so we can get onto that subject. I think I found my comfort zone as a person because of magic. Yeah.
Which is crazy because I grew up, the first time I went to the castle, I was 13 years old. And I auditioned for the junior group and didn't make it in. And I was terrified. And then I didn't try out again for 4 more years, and then I got in. But I was like a nerdy little kid trying to do magic, and then you're around all these people, and all of a sudden, you have like at least for me, major inferiority complex, and like
always,
terrified to like say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and like I admire people who approach the art and go like, look, I'm just going to be myself, and if you don't like that, that's okay.
Yeah. I think I'm always trying to be myself, but I'm not necessarily okay with people with people just not liking it. I'll be like, oh, really? But I'm not going to compromise what I want to do, but I'll feel like I'm still just going to do what I want to do. But yeah, I feel bad if people don't like it. But not anymore.
Yeah.
That's, so what you were saying about being a go-getter before is like, so in that I know what I want to do, but it's not, again, I don't look at a trick and be like, how can I make this me? It's more like, what do I want to the kind of stuff do I want to present? Like, do I want to produce something, or do I want something to look pretty? Do I want to do something to music? And I let sort of that decide what trick can I find to go with that. So I don't know if that's like reverse engineering what a lot of people do. I mean, sometimes I have a trick, I'm like, what can I do with this trick? But a lot of times I'm like, what can I find that suits the vibe I'm going for? So I think, and so that's why I'm not, to me it's, and again, it's not like being a go-getter, it's like, this is what I'm into. I like 60s style. I like this music. My opening piece, that song that exists entirely because like it's a song about a 60s song, bad date after a magic show where
fantastic.
It's so good. The guy's like kind of crying because like the girl just disappears. Like he's like, what happened? We went to this magic show
like,
and then you left.
And then you're gone. Hold for an emergency. This is where we try to decide what's happening. We're in Los Angeles. It could be anything. And we're back.
So that is like, I just like, I want to produce smoke. This
where did you come across this song? Had you known it for a while? Or?
No, a friend of ours, after it started doing magic, like sent it to my husband and was like, yes, give this to Simone. Maybe she wants to do magic to us. Like, oh yes. So like, it was like the perfect song for me. So it's like there I'm like, what can I put together to use this song and produce smoke?
Right.
So that's how that came to exist. So
it's so cool that like, I mean, when you take something like a decade or an era like the 60s, people feel nostalgic about it even if they didn't live through it. Like, we weren't around in the 60s, but magic's the same way. I feel like magic takes people to a different time. You know, and so like, combining those two things is a really cool. Like I mean, like I said, I've seen your show twice this week, and the audience is just like right there with you. You know, when they do the intro and they're like, if she had a time machine, she'd go to the 1960s. Everyone's like, all right, let's go. Here we are. Which is really, really cool.
It's like the coolness factor has really cemented itself in time.
Well, and doing it in the castle. I mean, the castle opened in 1963.
Exactly.
Which there's got to be, I kept thinking, there's got to be something about the fact that the castle started in the 60s.
That should draw something like that into it.
It could be really, really fun. Now I'm daydreaming. So let's talk about you were in Australia. When you came here in 2003?
Yes.
Did you know your husband at this point?
Yes, I've known him since 1996, and we've been dating since 1998, so I'm very old.
No, you're not very old.
You feel old when you can say you're with someone for 20,
well, yeah,
21 years.
My wife and I have been married for 17 years. Mm-hmm. We started dating when we were 15 and 16.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. So I'm right there. You know. I'm a little ahead of you.
Yeah, you are. So I'm 41 now. And it just sounds like a long time ago. Like
it's really
not. It really. Yeah, it's not. It is when you're younger. All these times sound really
right. Well, and when we have friends who are like the same age as us who are not anywhere near like settling down or finding someone or you know what I mean?
But then there are friends who are our age who have
right.
like adult
I've
children.
got a 24-year-old. How did that happen?
It's like I have a 6-year-old.
Yeah, I have a buddy he's like 42 and he has a 22-year-old. And I'm like, that's just crazy.
Wow. I know a girl that's...
I mean, the math works out and everything.
It works, you can work it out. I know a girl that was a year younger than me in school is already a grandmother.
What?
And I can see her being a great grandmother. I think it's probably about 6 or 7 years before she's eligible, or it's possible for her to be a great grandmother.
I've never heard anyone describe it as eligibility. I finally reached my grandparent eligibility. That's amazing. Okay, so you met your husband 96. You said
96.
96. Yes. Okay, and your husband's a comedian.
He's a comedian, but he wasn't doing that. He was tour managing a band called Mr. Bungle. It was my favorite band, and my friend and I did a petition to get them to tour Australia because they were touring the US, and we were like, come to Australia. So we just went to all the record stores in town, put out this petition, and got a bunch of people to sign it, and then we sent it to them, and like I think they'd been thinking about coming, but once they saw that, they were like, oh, okay, people want to see it. So they had a very successful tour.
Yeah.
So, but then when they did come, my friend and I went to every single show in Australia.
And that's where you met your husband.
That's right. He was tour managing them. Yes.
Oh, very
cool.
cool.
And that's another thing too. Like, I mean, now I'm finally actually really making my own sort of art. But like, I've always been like obsessively a fan of other people's art.
Right.
So it's like, oh wow, now I'm contributing something, which is a nice feeling because I was just used to just being a fan.
Right.
Yeah.
When did that shift for you? Like,
I think just when I had writing a blog was good for that.
What was the blog about?
It was about whatever I felt like,
Yeah.
just my thoughts and opinions, and and I'm funny, so it would just have my sort of sarcastic, hilarious spin on everything. I have one of my entries is like all the different ways to enjoy Coke, and sort of like from a fountain, and why a plastic bottle is terrible, and how in a glass with ice, if the Coke is not refrigerated, is bad because the warm will melt the ice and then dilute it. Yeah, so it goes into great detail. But like, who needs that story? Nobody. So it's just it was me just doing whatever I felt like doing. So
well, there's a big thing. Hold on one second. We're gonna let's move this table a little bit. Yeah, hold on, pause. And we're back. The sun was trying to attack us here outdoors, and so we moved the table. I feel good about the choice we made.
I feel very good about the choice.
Yeah,
I was like leaning to the left without even really assessing why I was doing
we
that.
both just noticed we were kind of leaning the opposite direction. Okay, so you're writing this blog just about whatever your thoughts are.
Yeah, whenever I feel like it. Yeah.
And I mean, there's something about just taking, because a lot of people will say like, well, I'm not a really creative person.
Yeah.
And I don't buy that. I feel like everybody has got something that they're passionate about. But when you find something that you really care about and you start to like get it out of your head and onto paper or onto the online, it makes a difference. Like, things start to shift and you start to create more and get more ideas.
And I think like people are creative in different ways, because I think I always felt like I wasn't, because I'm terrible at like when I would do acting class and they'd be like, do an improv. My mind was completely blank as to just think of a scenario. Be it we're standing on a street corner selling umbrellas. Like, I couldn't come up with that idea because it was too inhibited, too insecure that my thought is dumb. So, but as soon as somebody else says it, then I can come up with the whole thing. Like even with our show in the Pella, like I was like, I don't know what to do. And as soon as you made your suggestion, I was like, oh yeah, now I've like 1,000 ideas.
Here's 20 different ideas right off the bat.
So I feel like I thought that's okay. Now I know I'm someone that just needs some prompts.
Yep.
And I can ask people I know would have good ideas for prompts, and then that gives me a place to go, a place to move from. So
that's great. That's really good. How have things changed since? Because your husband's been a performer for many, many years.
Yes.
How long has he been doing comedy now?
I guess he's been doing the live shows for like 20 years. He started out album only, and now it was like faked live comedy show albums. That's what it was. It wasn't like
So he did. Wait. So I know he did the albums, but he wasn't performing when he did those.
No, they were fake bad live shows. Just shows where like nobody was laughing, or there'd be one laugh at something else.
Yeah.
While he was on stage bombing. That was what the albums were like. But then people were into the albums, and then they started asking him to
show up and do
open for bands and stuff were asking him to open. So and then it became like his full-time thing. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So how have things shifted? Because it's usually in a relationship. there's if there's someone who's doing something really artistic or like some how do I say it, a not typical career, not a 9-to-5. You have someone else who is not doing that kind of balances it out in some ways or another. So I'm always fascinated when like artists find one another. How has it been since you've started performing magic and he's still performing comedy? Have you had to like learn to do life differently, or?
Not really. I think even before I was doing this many shows, like I had a 9-to-5 for like the same 9-to-5 for 10 years, and but I had to keep taking a lot of time off because he was getting more and more work, and I wasn't even making that much money. So I was like, I may as well just quit and just stay home, and then I can work on magic a bit more. But I don't want to say I quit to focus on magic. It was just that I could, because I did quit. And so then the more performing I'm now, it's just a matter of just juggling our schedules. You have shows in this time. Okay, I can't do anything in this period. So we just kind of look at the calendar, and the other one's ready to deal with the kid and the household stuff while the other's doing shows. Because when I was working, my son was 2.5 when I quit my job, but my husband was like home with him all day while I was, he wasn't on tour. Then he was the stay-at-home dad for the first 2 years. So, so now it's just we're both there,
and there's sometimes that you were telling me sometimes you guys do shows together.
Oh yeah. So we've done a few shows with me opening and him headlining. Sometimes we'll have an act in between, but sometimes it's just the two of us. But there's been a few. There was one in Salt Lake, so that there were absolutely no under 21s to set a toe on the property.
Right.
So, like, sometimes you can have him backstage for a bit, but no, this is not on the property. So, I do my set. There was a guy in between. I do my set. I throw all my stuff into my case. He's waiting in the car with our son, and then he jumps out. I jump in, and then I drive back to the hotel, and then he does the show, and then I'm like, that's it. I'm in for the night. And then in Manchester, England, that we did. Earlier this year, there was no act in between, and so the promoter took me in the car, and I was on my way out, and I didn't even get time to get the pats on the back. Oh, great show! I didn't. And this guy, I was rushing out the door, and this guy's called me. I was like, no, wait, I'm gonna get my one
acknowledgement.
I
need this.
I need this. I didn't do this for nothing. So I got my one acknowledgement, and then jumped in the car. He drove me back to the hotel. Greg was down in the lobby with our child, switched out, and then he got driven back to the venue. And then 30 minutes later, I'm sitting on the floor playing a dice game.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, was I on stage 40 minutes ago? Did that even happen? I was in my pajamas on the floor playing dice.
I always laugh when you go to a show and when it's not your show and you don't know the performer, the whole thing seems so glamorous.
Yeah.
Whether you go see a band and you're like, wow, I bet backstage is a big party and everyone's just hanging out.
Yeah.
And then when you know the reality of this business, it's it's okay, I got to go drive through McDonald's and get some food and
and change in a bathroom.
Yeah, change. Yesterday on the way to the castle, I was hanging out with Matt Marcy, and we stopped by his house, and I was like, can I change my clothes in your house? I'm like, look, I've changed in many parking lots, but I'll change in your house. That'd be awesome. It was the best thing ever.
So sad.
It's so sad. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And our kids think this is normal.
Yeah.
Your son, this is all he knows.
This is all he knows.
Yeah, so you've been doing magic
since he was
2.
Yeah.
So this is just all he knows. Mom's a magician, and Dad's a comedian, which sounds like a great sitcom, by the way.
It does.
We should pitch this tonight, Disney Plus for their new platform.
Yeah. And my son's really into math, so he's not even showing the creative.
How fun!
Stuff.
How fun! I've never seen a show where the kid is the straight man. The kid is the parents are the crazy out there.
He's kind of like the Alex P. Keaton.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes,
that's awesome. Little growing pains action.
He did Family Ties.
Family Ties. I know. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Michael J. Fox was my first obsession as a child.
I apologize for comparing Michael J. Fox to Kirk Cameron.
Huge difference. One is a dick.
Yes.
It's not Michael J. Fox.
It's not Michael. Oh my goodness. Off mic, I've got some great Kirk Cameron stories for you.
Oh, awesome. I cannot wait.
Yeah, so Michael J. Fox was your first crush?
Yes, when I was 8.
Mine was Gidget.
Oh, nice.
I did not know that was a rerun.
Oh, really?
So, so I was in love with Sally Field, and then later on found out she was already grown up and doing bone health commercials.
Oh.
I was devastated. I was like, but I was going to be Moondoggy. Anyway.
But you're going to be really excited when you need Boniva.
Yeah, now I'm like, well, Gidget's got me covered. Oh my goodness. Okay, so your son's way into math.
Way into math. Yeah, he's a grade and a half ahead of where he needs to be.
Gee whiz.
So, yeah.
He's 6 years old now?
He's 6 years old. I used to joke, oh God, I can only teach him stuff for about 6 more months, but now I think I'm really actually nearly maxed out the math that I know.
Yeah. Yeah, my girls are 11 and 14, and what they're learning in school, I have no clue.
Yeah.
They ask me for help. I'm like, I love you, and because I love you, I'm not going to help you on your homework because you will fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not good. So what's next for you with Magic? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess I'm working on this thing with you. I'm excited. That's a new thing to
Yeah,
do.
that's
work
gonna be
on.
fun.
I'm working on another Peller act with a friend of ours, Felix Jones.
Yes, he's great.
So yeah, and he's sort of got a very 1960s fabulousness.
Yeah,
about
when you
him,
said,
so.
can we tell the idea, or are we keeping it a secret? We'll keep it a
We can tell the idea, and I can ask if I need to cut that or not.
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
ask him. So we're doing like a 1960s cocktail party.
So great.
So the idea will be that we're hosting the party, and the audience are merely our guests. So we're going to just sort of keep it, more party-like,
so much.
less show-like. We'll see how it pans out, but that's the plan. So that's what I'm working on with that. And then for myself, I haven't decided what to do next, because this run in the parlor compared to the last time, the parlor is the worst room for me to perform in at the castle, because I have to say parlor with my accent. And even magicians be like, what? I was like, I'm performing in the parlor. The what?
The what? What's that?
The parlor. So I hate having to say it.
Performing in the parlor.
The parlor. So this is my third time in the parlor. And but this between the last time and this time, I'm doing the same tricks, but I really did a lot of work on the scripting.
Oh yeah,
I
had seen one of the routines. I think one of the routines I had just seen a video of.
Oh yeah, because we reviewed it.
Yeah, and I mean, just fantastic. The changes that you made and the things that you added, so good.
Yeah, because I found that. Because I kind of had the script and I would stick with the script, but I'd kind of pretty much written the script myself, and I think I'm naturally funny, but I don't think I can write comedy. I mean, that's a whole separate skill set, So I asked a friend, a comedian, to she watched my act. It's like, where can we put some jokes? I need something here. This part where I'm doing this is boring. Just
those little moments.
Yeah,
those
like I'm tying
transition
something.
pieces,
This has to be tied.
Yes.
Like, what can I talk about while I'm tying this knot?
Yep.
So stuff like that. So I told her where I needed stuff and anything else. So she just wrote a bunch of stuff, and now having that in there, I'm ad-libbing a bunch of stuff. Like
just this run, it's
just
all
this
gone
run.
in.
It's like just alone. I'm just able to. It's already raised. Like now, it seems like more of a comedy act,
Right.
and so then it's easier for me to be funny. Whereas there's a joke that I told before, and I am still telling now, but I didn't say anything funny in my introduction. I was just pretty straight, and then I made this joke, and then people will be like,
Right.
But now they laugh at that a lot because I already told two jokes before it. So I can see how it really changed the expectation of the show.
Right,
Just by establishing that, it's funny and it's okay to laugh.
Well, it's people take for granted because everybody says, I'm a comedy magician. And I was talking with Harrison, I think last week on the episode about this, about how I think Teller was the one who said comedy magic is usually neither. It's not magical and it's not funny. It's just some hacky crap. And so I think audiences naturally, if they see you're a magician, if you go, oh, here's Simone and she's going to do magic, to laugh at you would be offensive, even if it's, you know what I mean? Like, so you have to give them permission.
Exactly.
You have to let them know, look, I am not taking myself too seriously, which I think as a magician is the best thing any of us can do, because there's plenty of magicians out there who think that they're doing brain surgery when they're finding the Queen of Hearts. Calm down. God, no one's life is on the line.
No.
Yeah.
And getting that kind of to that place where you're not freaking out about making mistakes. That's because I did. So I set a goal for myself last year to do 100 sets. If anyone's like, why the fuck is she in the parlor after doing magic for 4 years? But I really, really, really put in a lot of work. So, am I the best sleight of hand person? 100% no. Am I even close? No. But that's
flight time. I'm telling. I say this all the time. Like, you could practice alone in your room as much as you want.
Yeah.
There is nothing like getting in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And you know right away if it's working or not.
Exactly. It teaches you so much. So I'd set myself a goal last year to do 100 sets.
Yeah.
And it was so hard for me because I don't like to leave the house. I'm insecure. I'm shy. I'm an introvert. I don't want to do this in many ways. But because I had the number, I had to go with the number.
Yes.
So I'd look at the thing, okay, Greg's going to be out of town for this much time, so this month I have to do it in these weeks. And I'd force myself to do a certain amount every month to...
and not to mention the fact that your act is themed and you have to get ready. You can't just roll up.
No,
and, you know what I mean?
Can't. And I had a lot of difficult resets too that I'm like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I managed to find a few ways to buy a few duplicates and stuff, and I made it easier. But yeah, it was not a easy reset doing multiple sets every time either. But yeah,
so
but
you did
I
it. You met the goal. You did 100
I ended
sets.
up doing 106.
Yeah.
Plus doing 21 shows in the parlor. So.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but I think that made all the difference. And when something would go wrong, I mean, it's horrifying. You're like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I screwed that up. But I'd go home and my husband would be like, oh, how did it go? I'm like, oh yeah, the newspaper failed.
Yeah.
But I would be glad because I would learn something from it. Because I would take all of those as... I just, push the bad feelings, the humiliation out, and just look at the positive. That now I knew how to avoid that. In future.
My friend Mark James said, and this really helped me. But it's like the what is it? What is the law of, like, if you do something enough times, something's going to go wrong? What is that? It's like a very well known the law of anyway. Everyone right now who knows this is listening. Your son is sitting there shouting out the name. This guy doesn't know anything. But you do something enough times, something is going to happen that's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're bad or you messed up, or like this week in the parlor, I'm doing half-dyed silk, which is an old school trick that I've started doing again recently. But since I've started doing it 6 months ago, I've done it at least 150 times in front of an audience.
Yeah.
And 2 nights ago in the parlor, I pull out a handkerchief, and one of the secret props no one's supposed to see goes flying across the room. It's never happened.
Oh, my God.
It's never. When I was practicing by myself, I was in front of an audience, never had it happen, but it happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, just pick it up and move on.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I heard about something, somebody said that they dropped their thumb tip. Am I allowed to talk about magic secrets?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, so they dropped their thumb tip, and they were like...
We have a whole section where we only reveal all the secrets.
Oh,
yes.
So somebody dropped the thumb tip, and then it was like that's magician disaster. I just dropped the thumb tip, but somebody was like, "That was amazing what he did with his thumb." I don't remember who told me that, but I was like, "Yeah."
It's incredible. Isn't it funny hearing, like, do people ever come up to you and describe, like, a month or two later, they're like telling someone else, "Oh, we saw Simone and she did this," and they describe what you did, and it's like cooler than what you actually did. It always amazes me how, what the audience remembers or what they walk away with is more of the feeling and not the specifics of, like, what the routine looked like.
Yeah.
I just let him roll with it. I'm like, oh man, he brought out this bird and the bird caught on fire and then it turned into a dog. I'm like, oh, great. That was cool. It was actually a card trick, but I'll take credit for it. That's awesome. So we're in the middle of this run. And this week has just been fantastic.
It's been fantastic.
This is your first week with all the new stuff.
Well, yeah. And so I told you, like, I had an improvement just because the scripting's improved. And I think there was a lot of times where I'd feel like I've just got to get through it. Like, every time I'd go perform, like, can I get through it? Just this nervousness would hit me, even though I know I could do it all. And then I think after, like, Wednesday, I really, like, a switch went off. And I kind of feel like, I do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to go out and do it.
Yeah,
and
this is what I do.
They'll have a good time, you know, like, so it's, my attitude seems to have really changed. So this has been a very good week for me, in personal growth. Will that switch stay on? I don't know.
I know.
Is my new medication part of it? Possibly.
Right.
So that's another thing. I use beta blockers to deal with performance anxiety.
Okay.
So that's been a huge help. Because early on, right in the first year when I was starting...
Would you get, like, heart palpitations?
I get stomach.
Okay.
But even since I was a kid, like, it would be my birthday and we'd be going to, like, a fun park or something.
Yeah.
And all the pressure, all the attention for my birthday, couldn't handle it. And I'd be bent in two. We wouldn't leave early because I was sick. And so it's always been a problem, and I kind of grew out of it being for, like, things like that. But then performing is obviously scary again. So, like, when I was first getting into magic, and I was scared, I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this audition because I'm going to be a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the worst show you can do is the audition.
Right.
Like, ever. And so my doctor put me on propranolol, which is for migraines, but it also helps with performance anxiety.
Okay.
And so that's always taken, a good percentage of it out. So now I'll just be a little jittery, like, I'm getting excited.
Like a healthy amount of jitters.
A healthy amount of jitters. Yeah. Whereas before it would be like, I'm bent into, I can't do this. I know that sometimes I would drive to a gig if I hadn't taken it, and I'd feel like, I can't do magic anymore because I can't have I can't deal with this feeling. Like it
Right.
was so bad that
Yeah.
I just felt so sick and awful. There's no point doing this if I have to feel like this every time. So, so finding the medication has been very,
That's
very
good.
helpful.
And thank goodness that you didn't give up and just go, I mean,
Yeah.
write it off as like, well, I guess I'm not a performer.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the reality is most of us deal with some level of anxiety or stress surrounding.
Yeah.
It's not normal what we do. It is like
No.
the number one fear of most people is public speaking.
Yeah.
Let alone, like, we're professional, like, hey, watch me do a flip. Like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
It's such a bizarre thing.
Yeah. No, it's weird how people's comfort with attention like varies. Like my mom is totally extroverted. She'd talk to anybody, go up to anyone on the street and talk.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like approaching people to like do strolling magic. Like I hate that. But
I
she,
hate it so much.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah.
But she's she has no problem going up to people and talking. But she's in some seniors group and she had to talk about some trip that she had all the details about. She was like totally stressing out.
Isn't that crazy?
She gets up there and goes and just runs through the details super fast and just walks off. And like nobody asked any questions because nobody really engaged with anything she said.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had to do that, I would be fine. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
I wouldn't be freaked out giving that.
Do you
speech.
do you think it's because your mom probably like did she really care about what she was doing? Like was that
She just doesn't like getting up and speaking into
Okay.
a group. She's very good one-on-one.
Okay. I was just thinking about like I'm not a sports guy. I got asked. I did a pregame like pep talk one time for the Packers, and because I'm not a sports fan, I was not nervous at all.
Right.
Like I don't know who these guys are.
Yeah.
I know they're famous. I know that they're athletes.
Yeah.
I know that most guys would probably be losing their mind.
Yeah.
But because that wasn't the world I really cared about.
Yeah.
I was able to do a better job probably because I wasn't so worried.
Yeah.
Whereas like in Magic, a lot of times if I know there's a bunch of performers in the audience, I'm more anxious than if it's just normal people.
Yeah. It's because it's kind of like, this is the thing I said I was good at, so I better not suck at it. I think that's why I had such a good day, because there was a buyout on Wednesday.
Right.
And I knew that there weren't any magicians or anyone who I'd see again in those audiences. I think
Right.
that gave me a
little more confidence.
a little more confidence. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just kind of but then that carried into the next day when there were all kinds of scary people in the
Yeah.
audience. And I
Yeah.
killed even harder that day.
Oh, yeah.
Off the strength
You
of
did
the day
great.
before.
Yeah.
So-
I waited till afterward to be like, Jim Jeffries was just in your show?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny how like those little moments will happen. I remember a couple runs ago one run ago I had a panic attack at the castle and had to quit my run.
Oh my God!
Yeah, total.
What do you want to talk about that? Have you
Sure,
talked
I'll
about
talk
that before?
I'm sure I've mentioned it on here, but I know I've talked about it on here in the past. But I was super just like a really high stress time, just financially and like things that we were trying to do and as a family and like all the nonsense of like trying to pay the bills and do something you love. And I was getting ready to perform at the castle. It was my second night in the Peller. I was with Jimmy H. We're great buddies. I've done this show with him before. I was not stressed about the show at all. And right before the show, like 20 minutes before we opened doors, my hands and feet went completely numb. And like when you're on a roller coaster and your heart goes up into your throat? It was like that, but sustained. And I thought, I'm having a heart attack. And I went to Cedars-Sinai and like checked myself into the hospital.
Oh my gosh!
And they like spent hours doing every test there is, and they're like, there is nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
And for like a month, I couldn't like leave my house. I was just full blown panic.
Wow.
And anyway, that was kind of a wake up call of like, okay, start doing some things that are going to help. Change your diet, do a little more. Meditate if you need. Like, do what you need to do to just get your mind in a good place.
Yeah.
But it's funny to me how like now usually that's not an issue, and then all of a sudden there will be one moment. I remember one time I was in the parlor and I felt totally fine. I had just done 3 nights and they all went great every show. And then a performer who I really respect that most people in the world have no idea who they are, I saw him going into my show and I just freaked out backstage. And I'm like, I just did this 12 times.
Yeah.
and people enjoyed it, and I had fun.
Why should this make any
Why does
difference?
it make
Why would this make
any
it worse?
difference at all?
Yeah.
But it's so weird how we can get in our head with things and just allow ourselves to, panic.
Yeah. Well, so the managers will always tell you Jack's coming to your show, And it's like, why do you tell me? And then, I forget. I think David was like, Jack's coming to your show. Sorry if you didn't want to know that. I'm like, yeah. But I was fine. I was confident enough with what I was doing that I was fine. But but yeah.
I sat next to Jack in your show. He loved it.
Oh,
it was,
thank you.
He was having a great time.
Excellent. Yeah, he expressed that afterwards. So I was like, when he came back on Thursday, I was like, I'm good for it. I'm good.
Right. Yeah.
I'm better than it was on Monday. So
it's good. Yeah.
It's one of the other really cool things I've gotten to do as being a magician. So as I told you, like, I'm a big super fan of things before I was doing anything myself.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
Mr. Bungle, and then they broke up, and then around 2003, I got into this band Supergrass, this British band. They were big in the 90s, but I didn't like them in the 90s. I got into them in like 2003.
Yeah.
So I was obsessed with them, and I was seeing their shows a bunch and all that stuff. And eventually I got to know them because I was, their MySpace page was neglected, and I said, hey, do you want me to look after your MySpace page? And they were like, sure. So then I got to go and, meet them and hang out with them. So I got to know them, and then any side project, anything that would come through, I would go to them. And then when they broke up in 2010, I went to the last 4 shows in Europe. So I went to
cool.
so it was Glasgow, Manchester, London, Paris, and I was like, yep, I've got to go to that.
Oh, that's so fun.
So that's the kind of stuff that I do, not for everything, but just my few ultimate things. And now they're back together, and I'm going for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
But anyway, so the singer, Gaz Coombs, he was coming out here for solo shows. It was like 2 years ago. And then the tour manager messaged me, Mick, and he said, can you think of any, sort of singer-songwriter type people we could have as an opener? And I was like, I'll think about it. And he said, or maybe a magician. I was like,
really?
Yes. And I was, and I didn't have quite a show yet, but I was like, I'd recently done my sort of at my own show in Australia, so I did have it. I was like, oh my god. So I got to open for one of my all-time favorite musicians.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So and people are like, wow, it's a dream come true. And I was like, yeah, except I would never even dream of that in the first place.
Right. Yeah, there's those moments that come up.
Yeah.
Just organically that you're like, what kind of life am I living? This is like...
I mean, I thought my story of all that kind of nutty stuff happening was done like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And stuff just keeps happening.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's so healthy to like not lose sight of like how cool that is. Like everyone in this business, it seems like everybody's always trying to get to the next level. Yeah. It's like sometimes the level you're at's pretty rad. Like look around a minute and just be grateful.
Yeah. I think that's where I am. When you were saying, that I didn't seem like I'd be insecure and all of that, but I mean, my whole life I was not popular in school, like typical magicians.
Yeah.
But
checking all the boxes.
All the boxes. Yeah. Only thing missing is a penis. But so I mean, the whole life I was felt insecure, undateable, all that bad stuff, and even as an adult, like surrounded by all these creative people, I was like, well, I'm not really doing anything. So I always felt, in a conversation at a party, I can't talk to people. Once I talk to people, I'm fine.
To hear what I have to say.
Exactly. But I also know I am smart and I am funny and interesting, but just to get to that point where they would find that would be hard. But I'm actually at a point now where I don't feel like that anymore. And this is new. This is very new feeling. The last couple years.
Freeing?
It's so freeing. So so what you were saying about just being happy where you are now, I feel like I'm just so grateful to be so comfortable.
Yeah.
I've spent so many years being uncomfortable.
Oh, it's so good.
And now I'm comfortable, and I'm not like making a gazillion dollars or anything, not even close, but I'm making some money, and I'm doing something I really like to do, and I feel really proud of it, and I don't feel like I have to be modest.
So good.
I feel like I can say, yeah, I do this, and it's cool.
Yeah. That moment when you can separate the nonsense of the business from just the stuff you love.
Yeah.
Like I gave up magic completely for a year. 7 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I stopped performing for a year completely.
Uh-huh.
And then immediately a year later went full time at it. Mm-hmm. But when I picked it back up, I had already given it up.
Uh-huh.
So when I started doing it full time, it was like
I don't really care what anyone thinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like you, all the insecurity of like, I've got to impress other performers.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got to like, make a name for myself. Like all that stuff
Yeah.
kind of goes into the background.
It's freeing.
Yeah, it's
so
super freeing.
Actually, after I decided, so like while I was still doing acting, I decided, I was like, I weigh too much. I dropped 30 pounds. As soon as I was done losing the weight, I'm like, forget this. I don't want to do acting anymore. So even though I was now fit into the box
so
that they would
funny.
want, I was
Yeah.
like, I'm done. But I said, if anything comes my way, I'll definitely want to do it. But I'm not pursuing it. And then I don't know how I got somebody contacted me about seeing an agent, and so I went there. But now I didn't care because I'd decidedly given up, like you said. And I went there, and they always keep you waiting in all these auditions and all these meetings because you're an actor, and all of you are desperate, so you can just
Right.
sit and wait.
Oh, yeah.
So, but no, because now I didn't care. I went up to the receptionist, like, yeah, my appointment was 5 minutes ago, so how long is this going to be? And she just kind of looked at me like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, yeah. And so I made her call the agent.
Yeah.
And they saw me way sooner, and I was like, I'm just gonna leave,
Yeah.
because I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And
It's so funny how when you don't play that game,
yeah,
people notice it.
yeah. And then when I did see her, she was like, okay, yeah, well, you have to do this and get new headshots. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Because every agent wants you to get new headshots
Right. With
they
their
want
person,
with their person.
who they're going to get a little kickback from.
Yeah, so it's just I'm not gonna. I'm not really interested in taking all these extra measures.
Yeah.
It's sort of take me as I am,
Yeah.
or don't.
Yeah.
And people try to say that they don't care, but they do care.
Yeah.
And I cared before, but I honestly didn't care,
Yeah.
and it was good.
That's so healthy.
Yeah.
I have a buddy who does a lot of commercials, and he was on a commercial audition, and this was for a big national commercial. I mean, it was going to be a nice paycheck if this thing came through, but he didn't care at all about it. He was pimping some product that he was like, I don't want to do this, but I'll do it for the money, And so, and he had a big beard that he really liked his beard, and they go, we really like you for this part. Would you shave your beard? And he looks at the script. And he goes, and he turns a page, and he just goes, not for this. And they booked him on it.
What a hero! That's
that
amazing.
amazing?
I love that. Not for this.
What is, I would love to know, the fact that you were a little girl doing magic, and then you stopped doing it for a long time, and then you came back, and you already mentioned the fact there's not as many women in magic
Yeah.
comparatively
Yeah.
to guys. What's the biggest thing that you would want people to know about just that? That's
a pressure. Thankfully, I think because I think my act is pretty polished now, but there's a fear that if I go in there and suck, it's not just Simone sucks. It's women magician aren't very good. You are representing it. It does speak because people come in and say, "Oh, I've never seen a female magician before." So it's a positive. And people, it's a novelty, and I probably get, some bookings extra because it's oh, this is different and exciting. So I'm not going to say
there's that added pressure.
There's added pressure. Also, now you have to try harder because, you're representing. Because someone's like, yeah, I saw a female magician and she wasn't very good.
Which is so ludicrous. It's that's like saying, oh, I saw a guy that sings, so I don't like male singers.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But that stuff happens. So it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So, but I don't feel like I've done anything to disgrace my gender. So
No, I don't think there's anything to worry about.
There's another whole thing I think where some people it's a conflict of whether or not to play up the whole I'm a female magician or to talk about it, draw attention to it. And I don't. It just seems like naturally I'm not interested in. I'm clearly female. I'm very feminine. I'm wearing a dress, lots of makeup, fancy hair, But I don't feel like there's anything else needs to be said. I'm just doing what I like, and it happens to be a bunch of girly stuff.
Right.
So,
well, and in your act, I feel like people should be they shouldn't be judged, period. But if you're going to judge someone, it should be based on their art. You know what I mean? Make your decision on whether or not you want to see the show or book this person based on what they do.
Yeah.
And,
But the novelty factor is there,
Right.
People want to, because, how many times have you heard it? Magic is just a bunch of old white guys. So I'm not an old white guy, so that helps.
Yeah.
So
That's really good.
Yeah.
'Cause Too many old white guys in magic.
There are.
I feel like maybe part of the problem is we should just start eliminating them. Like,
yeah.
yes.
I already have a list.
Yeah. We'll compare lists after this.
Yeah.
I bet we've got some of the same names. Yeah.
One of them was mentioned just before we started.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. How about old white men who culturally appropriate?
No, yeah.
I'm always amazed when you have like some old white guy who's like, from the ancient Orient. Like, what are you doing?
I know. They've missed many memos.
Yeah. Talk about something from the 60s. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, where can people follow along and see what you're doing? I know you've got some fun shows coming up.
So I'm doing a bunch of stuff at Magicopolis, which has just been under new management in Santa Monica.
Yep.
But yeah, so I have a website, magicsimone.com. And, my Instagram, I'm not very good at self-promotion. Like I said, I'm not good at doing, I forced myself to do a backstage selfie like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I was like, I did it. I remembered to do it. This is what people do. Remind them that you do magic.
I know. It's a balance because you don't want to be the person who's like, my office for the day, and it's some like empty corporate ballroom.
Yeah. That post will never happen to me.
Yeah.
Unless there's something extra really obviously obnoxious and sarcastic to go with it.
But I feel like I was talking to a friend yesterday about like he was worrying about like how he's raising his kid, and we talked through it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think it's the people that are worried about if they're a bad parent that are bad parents.
Yeah.
And I don't think if you're the type of person who's like, I don't want to be super self-promoting, you're not the person that's super, you know what I mean? Like that's never going to be a thing. But this episode is about you, and so people are going to want to go after this. We've spent an hour talking.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, where can I see Simone?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Simone Magic.
Magic Simone.
Magic Simone. Don't go to Simone Magic.
Don't go there.
It's Raven Simone doing card tricks.
It's a terrible website. And it was taken. No. No.
That's funny. I have a web developer who has Taylor-Hughes.com who sends me mean messages every couple of years.
Oh, really?
I might have to take that out. Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah.
There was another Simone Turkington. I found her on Facebook. Like I said,
really?
There's another Simone. And I just saw her there, and I'm like, who is she? And then one day I get a friend request from the other Simone Turkington, who was like, what? And so like we I accepted, and we just kind of laughed about it. That's her. Mine's my married name. That's her regular name. But sometimes like I'd post something, and then she would comment, and people would, but it looked like I was answering myself, so people would be like, what? Or I'd see something, a post would be like, I didn't say that. Oh yeah, no, it was her. So,
you get accidentally tagged in things?
No, I haven't got accidentally tagged, but just like I'll see a post or a comment that doesn't sound like something I would say.
Oh, you're like, good, it wasn't
because it was her. But yeah, I googled my name, and then she came up. She got busted for dealing pot in South Africa. So yeah, I don't deal pot.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to anymore.
No. Yeah.
Welcome
that
to
right
Los
there,
Angeles.
that clears me.
Right. Good to go. That's awesome. Well, we got to go do a show tonight.
Yeah.
Going to go do a couple shows. Friends, go check out Simone's website. If you're listening right now, you can click on the show notes. I'll have links to your social media and all that stuff so people can follow along.
Yes, thank you.
And I think in a couple weeks, we're doing Magicopolis together.
We are.
November 1st through the 3rd.
That is correct.
So if y'all are in town, come to Santa Monica. It's a very cool and weird place.
It is a weird
where the magic is happening.
Magic is happening. Cool.
Thanks for doing this.
Sure, thanks for asking me. It was a good conversation.
Absolutely. All right, we'll keep talking. I'm going to turn this off.
Okay.